Blue Lake City Council meeting today is June 24th. Go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager Burkhart, can you go ahead and establish a quorum?
Yes, we've got Councilmember Napier.
Here.
Councilmember Louis Lusso.
Here.
Mayor Sawatsky.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Scafani.
Here.
All right, we have a present council. Can we go ahead and get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve. So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
It passes. All right. So we have a matters time certain. We need to receive presentation from Eric Keller Heckman of HWMA. Eric, are you here?
Eric, did you need a slide deck or anything?
I have one.
Oh, okay, perfect.
We'll just wait on that.
Okay.
Then.
I mean, you can introduce yourself or whatever. So happy to see you.
Thank you.
So I can just say I'm on the Humboldt Waste Management Authority committee, the board of directors, and Eric is the director. And I've asked him to update Blue Lake since I've been here. I haven't seen an update or known what's going on with the Humboldt Waste Management Authority, and wanted him to come in and give us a little presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Council. I greatly appreciate it. As was mentioned, my name is Eric Keller Heckman. I'm the Executive Director of Humboldt Waste Management Authority. Obviously, Blue Lake is one of our member agencies of that. So what is the authority?
One second, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Technical dip.
Yeah. Oh, that's really tricky.
Okay. So what is the Humboldt Waste Management Authority? HWMA is what you call a joint powers authority. And while we are made up and empowered by our member agency jurisdictions, we are a distinct entity all its own. Our current membership contains the cities of Arcata, Blue Lake, Eureka, Ferndale, Rio Dell, and the unincorporated areas of Humboldt County. So what is it that HWMA does? At our core, we were originally tasked with two main directives: managing solid waste and post-closure maintenance of the Cummings Road landfill. But as the waste stream has evolved, so too has HWMA. And over time, we have been tasked with additional diversion programs, funding countywide fees and programs, and helping jurisdictions plan for future legislative actions. But it should be clarified that we do not collect this material from any of your jurisdictions or your residents. What we do is ensure that it has a place to go, is managed appropriately, and is disposed of in a cost-effective way.
We wait till the end for questions.
It's at the purview of the council. I don't know exactly how you guys operate.
We can wait till the end. That's fine.
Okay. So HWMA has several operational divisions which focus on each particular type of waste stream. We no longer simply accept solid waste in one door, load it, and then send it out the other. We have significantly changed how waste is managed, and we've matched that to how California's legislation has changed the waste flow over time. As it's changed, we've created specialty divisions that handle each particular type of waste. Our solid waste division is our largest operational division and handles the lion's share of solid waste generated throughout Humboldt County. This includes solid waste generated by, obviously, the city of Blue Lake and all of our other residents and businesses and our other member agencies. Within the solid waste division, we also accept residential and commercial self-haul at the Hawthorne Street Transfer Station, commercial green waste, single stream recycling, And we implement a myriad of different diversion programs throughout the years, such as carpet recycling and mattress recycling. Next, we have our household hazardous waste facility. It is the only facility like it in the county. Our staff handles upwards of 400,000 gallons of material annually through those doors. This is open to residents and small quantity generator businesses, so smaller local businesses. Anything from paint, things that you find in your shed, things under your kitchen sink, all the way to HSU's lab chemicals, commercial grade chemicals, things like that. So that is where the majority of that waste goes. And again, it's the only one like it in the county. It's at our Hawthorne Street transfer station in Eureka. And so recently we've expanded the hours. Now it is open Monday through Saturday for residents. Residents are free to come and bring 15 gallons per day at no charge. Businesses are by appointment Monday through Friday, and they are simply charged what it costs to dispose of the material. Next, we have the Cummings Road landfill. The HWMA landfill accepted the majority of the North Coast waste for nearly 70 years and was acquired by the HWMA in early 2000. Incidental material was received after that time, with the final closure coming in 2017. With the closure plan finalized and approved by the state, we now begin the 30 years of post-closure maintenance and monitoring. Our programs division is responsible for the development and initial implementation of the majority of the diversion programs that we have today. Program staff track upcoming legislation that will impact either the authority or its member agencies and develop pathways and strategies to implement these new programs. Once that's developed, they work in concert with our divisions to hand off these programs to such as solid waste or hazardous waste. And we integrate those into regular operations. Some examples obviously are our carpet, mattress recycling, treated wood waste, batteries, Sharps takes back. The majority of programs that you see throughout the county are originated at one time in HWMA's program division. So how do we fund all of this? Well, outside of grant activities, the authority is fully funded by the fees that it collects on its member agency's solid waste tonnage, which we call the waste management fee structure. The solid waste portion of the waste management fee is made up of three main components with programs and targeted divisions nested inside of them. The countywide program fee, which houses pass-throughs and other county-related programs such as AB 939 funds, LEA costs, illegal dumping and cleanup funds. The majority of these fees are set by the county or state regulatory agencies. Next, we have the HWMA base fee. This is responsible for funding all other programs or divisions at the authority outside of our solid waste division. This includes our programs division, administration staff, environmental health, and our long-term funding goals. Finally, we have the facility fee, which houses the cost for the transportation and disposal of our solid waste, the direct operational costs of handling that waste, indirect expenses, and our necessary reserve funding requirements. This slide should give you a better glimpse into how these fees are structured and how they contribute to the overall waste management fee. As you can see, the countywide fees are charged on all tons generated within all member agency boundaries. These programs are generally run or operated, again, by the county, or in the case of the Cummings Road landfill and the hazardous waste facility, operated by the HWMA on behalf of the county. The HWMA base fees, next, are charged to all tons delivered by member agencies to transfer stations within Humboldt County. As noted on the previous slide, these fees cover the divisions we went over just a little bit earlier this evening. And finally, we have the solid waste facility fee at the bottom. One of the areas of note for satellite facilities, only the transportation and disposal costs are present. This should hopefully shed a little bit more light on those fees. Overall, the budget that the authority has is pretty simple, with a couple factors that have a large impacts on our rates. Total solid waste ton is the baseline for developing our fees. Because the authority is funded through tipping fees, total tonnage can have a significant impact on our per ton costs. This is where economics of scale come into play. And with more tonnage, it allows us to spread the operational costs over those additional tons, reducing our per ton rate for all member agencies. Keep in mind, this was one of the original driving factors of the HWMA.
Mhm.
Our single largest cost is transportation and disposal of solid waste. This represents upwards of 46% of our total operating budget every year. Fuel prices, highway closures, and backhaul availabilities have significant impact and can have significant impact throughout the year on these costs. Staff costs are obviously a factor as well. The authority having 35 full-time members, and as programs come online or other operations are developed, this can lead to an increase in those costs and an increase in staffing as needed. And finally, funding diversion programs are again a major funding source and issue of our costs. This includes the Cummings Road landfill management, household hazardous waste disposal, upcoming organics waste, and other small programs related to diversion. So what does that mean for the city of Blue Lake, and how exactly does that impact your rates? For residents and businesses that self-haul or deliver material directly to our Hawthorne Street transfer station, it's pretty simple. You come in and you're going to pay the fee at the gate. But for people who just subscribe to your curbside service, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. I would consider our fee something of a base fee. We are covering and paying for the disposal and transportation of your waste material to the landfill. That is going to be just a singular part of your annual rate review that goes with your franchise hauler. So our fees are additive to the franchise hauler's cost to collect and pick up and transport to a transfer station. Then we take it over from there, and our costs are incurred. Yeah, I'd say once the fee is finalized, it's then provided to your franchise hauler, and that is when they bring their total fees together with ours, and then that's when they should be presenting those type of fees to the city council annually. So additionally, staff has requested a brief update on organics, which has obviously been a pretty hot topic throughout the county and with many of our jurisdictions over the last year and a half. For a bit of background, the authority and the jurisdictions have been working on basically a two-pronged approach to compliance for organics and processing. The short-term approach is going to be rolling out organics and food waste collection. That material will come to the Hawthorne Street transfer station, be pre-processed, and then it will be shipped out of county to Cold Creek Compost for composting. The reason that we have to do that in the short term is there is no location in the county permitted to accept and process food waste. Long-term planning is underway and congruent with that short-term plan. The authority is looking at properties to potentially buy and a facility that will potentially be built to accept all green waste and food waste material in county, be processed and made either into energy or amendment material that will stay in county. And with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have about any process or the authority as a whole. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Eric. I have a question. What are some legislation actions, issues that we should be aware of as citizens, residents of Blue Lake?
Sure. So a couple, I'll speak mainly to solid waste, obviously, and waste as a whole. A couple of ones that have benefited you in the past. There's been legislation that has mandatory requirements for individuals who create sharps and shell sharps to pay the cost of that program to take that material back. Prior to that legislation being passed, the authority foot the bill for the majority of sharps containers and sharps disposal in the county. That's obviously been a reduction in cost, which means a reduction in our costs, which at the end of the day means a reduction in your per can costs. Some other upcoming ones that are going to be important, AB 341 is mandatory commercial recycling. So you're going to have to roll out mandatory commercial recycling to all of your commercial entities. 1826 is mandatory organics collection. And then the big one right now that the larger jurisdictions are working on is SB 1383. which is a short-lived climate pollutant bill, but the majority of it is targeted towards food waste collection. So you guys have a little bit, the city of Blue Lake has a little bit of a reprieve on some of these. You're not going to be required until at least 2027 to comply, especially with 1383. But these at some point will come down across the state to all jurisdictions, whether they have a waiver or not. And that's currently what you guys have. You guys have a low population density waiver. What that's going to mean is incurred and increased costs generally across the board. Material is going to have to be picked up more regularly. There's going to have to be services that are offered to be picked up more regularly. Trash, recycling, and organics cans will be mandatory at not only all of your residents, but commercial businesses as well. So that is a big change from a lot of the smaller jurisdictions from what they have now.
So when you say mandatory, what does that mean exactly? Like everybody has to subscribe to curbside pickup?
That's
or-
correct. Yep. So there will be a time where CalRecycle in the state comes in, and if you do not have a mandatory ordinance and you don't have mandatory collection, they will make you. That's very simply the basis of it stems from AB 939, which is the original solid waste management bill passed in 1989. It's basically to devise a better way to ensure solid waste, recycling, and now organics is handled in the most ethical and environmentally friendly way. It doesn't always mean it's the most cost efficient by any means, especially in rural areas like us. But again, a majority of bills are written for the majority of the state, not for outliers. That's why a lot of our jurisdictions in this area have been granted waivers to give us time to catch up, to give us time to evaluate options and give us time to come in compliance. But I had a conversation last 2 weeks with Rio Dell and last month with Ferndale. Ferndale is going to be looking at passing a mandatory solid waste collection ordinance, and that is something that they're going to have to do. That is something all jurisdictions are going to have to do. And it'll just depend on how much of that cake you want to eat when it comes due, or if you want to start slicing that pie a little bit to eat it a little now, a little later, to make the costs a little bit more bearable and maybe get a little bit better program rollout so that your residents can understand a little bit better of what's happening and why.
So just to confirm, it's not just city entities that will have to participate. All residents of the city will have to.
That is correct. Yep.
An exorbitant fee too. Oh man, I went to the dump here a couple days ago with one of my sons. I have a little Nissan truck.
I apologize. You can talk. We'll get to you in 1 minute.
Okay.
Once we get to citizens' questions, I'll bring out the mic and you guys can talk.
But yes, so you will, every resident and every business, every multifamily dwelling, all of these will be required. So 341, the mandatory commercial recycling, these were meant as stepping stones really for the majority of the state. 341 was first, and it was a requirement by 2016 to give commercial recycling to all your residents and businesses. 1826 then moved the goalpost to all organics. So not food waste, just organics, which means like trees, trimmings, clippings, things like that. And then 1383 ratchets that up again, basing it off of the understanding that jurisdictions would become compliant with the first two bills. And now they're wrapping in food waste. So the majority of the state, and when these bills are written, they're assuming that you already have mandatory solid waste collection. They're already assuming that you have mandatory commercial recycling. That's why in rural areas, the cost and the shock of rolling some of these out can be so great.
Exciting. Does council have any further questions, or should we take this out to the public?
I wanted to just expand a little bit or have you expand a little bit on the transportation and haulers and our options here in the city of Blue Lake. I think that we have one, but there are multiple in the county. Is that correct?
Yeah, you want for curbside
Yes.
recycling and solid waste collection?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm do you guys know what a franchise hauler is, or like what your franchise area is, or what that's considered?
More or
Not
less.
really.
I mean,
Yeah,
but-
so it's for anybody that doesn't know your franchise agreement, your franchise hauler. Generally, you have an ordinance that ordains that you have the ability to give someone the power to collect material inside of your jurisdiction boundaries. Normally, you have a contract with them, and that's your franchise hauler, and they provide franchise hauling services. That means that you have one entity that's going to come in and they're going to provide you all the services that you need for solid waste, recycling, and now organics handling. That doesn't mean that they're the only one in the county. Doesn't mean that you couldn't go, in theory, out to bid for other entities to come in and provide that service. Generally, that's not done outside of very large areas, Portland, SF, places like that. Smaller areas like this, you generally need, you don't have the economies of scale to have multiple franchise haulers, but you can. But in speaking with Humboldt Sanitation, which is your current franchise hauler, they are well aware of these requirements. They have been working with the county. The county is going to be required to comply as well. They're actually already required to comply. So this won't be a new thing for them. This won't be a new conversation for them when you have it. They are well aware.
Great, thank you. Any further comments?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So for our local collection, I think we have choices of, I don't know if it was a 26-gallon bin and maybe a 32-gallon bin for your trash.
Mhm.
And then the big blue recycling bin, which is a common size, I think. to all.
96, yeah.
What does that look like for the organics collection? What would it look like for the food collection? And then kind of as a percentage based on, let's say it was $50 a month already just for our trash and recycling, what percentage increase might we see roughly?
So I can't speak to the percentage increase. That's something that I would be more than happy to work with the city of Blue Lake and your franchise hauler when you guys do come forward for negotiations for that service. But without taking a deep dive on your current franchise contract and then taking a look at the new costs that may be incurred, I can't unfortunately answer that type of increase. But what I can say for a baseline is I think the majority of the county right now is moving towards 96-gallon toters, with commercial entities being able to get front load bins like 1 yard, 2 yard, and 5 yarders. That is a couple of reasons. One, if you minimize the amount or the different types of bins that you have, you minimize the costs overall.
Mhm.
So when, let's take Humboldt Sanitation since they're your hauler. When they spin up to buy bins for the county, they can also buy bins for their other jurisdictions that are going to have to come into compliance and use the same 96-gallon totes across their franchise areas, which should in theory save everybody more money because they don't have to go out and source different size bins for different jurisdictions. As far as collections, that's incredibly difficult to say because you guys don't have mandatory right now. That it's going to be very dependent on how many stops, how much material you generate, what type of waste stream that you have. So generally in Humboldt County, we have around a 33% of your waste stream is food waste.
Wow.
But that doesn't always play
That's a
out
lot.
based off residents, based off businesses. We obviously see a huge shift on businesses if they're a restaurant or a food generating business. That's really going to skew that. So your franchise hauler, and generally with the help of HWMA, we take a look at the routes, we take a look at the entities and the people that are going to be serviced. 96 gallons is normally a pretty good one for residents that have a yard. And they can also just add their food waste in with their green waste material. That's what's going to happen for residents. So 96-gallon toter for residents is more of a catch-all, where businesses are going to be, each one is going to be visited. Each one is going to be talked to about their back of house operations, how much material they generate. Like a tire shop won't have a front end load 2 yard container, but a restaurant might. Or maybe one entity doesn't have room for a front loader, so they'll have 2 96-gallon totes that are serviced twice a week instead of once a week. All of those will be tailored to the entities that they collect. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Is it okay if I open up the public? here?
Sure, great.
Just gonna take my mic out there and you can continue.
Like, Sean, can I just sit here and talk?
Yeah, just one moment, I'll get you the mic.
Okay.
Go ahead. Wow.
That is. I don't think the mandated version you have put forth to us is a plausible possible thing. There's too many people that are not going to handle that. Right now, I pay, my son lives next door with his family and we pay $20 a month, twice a month to fill up my little truck and go to the junkyard or whatever it's called. I heard a couple of my neighbors said they were paying 110 a month for pickup in Blue Lake. Now that's astronomical and it's not feasible for a lot of low income people, especially. Um, I don't know how else to pursue denouncing this, but I'll be here for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. So you want to go?
I'm just wondering if you actually separate the two bins like I have now. There's the garbage and then recycling. And my landlord says that when it gets to the dump, it all goes in the same place. So do you actually recycle it now?
Yeah, so the two bins actually don't even go to the same place. So your current recycling goes out to Samoa. The HMA has a contract through Recology of Humboldt to process all curbside collected recyclable material for our member agencies. And then your trash goes to Humboldt Sanitation's yard, which we have a contract with them for satellite loading agreements for your member agency waste. So those two trucks, in theory, don't even go to the
Okay.
same place, much less end up mixed together.
Okay, I'm glad there's going to be a third option, the green.
Anyone else have questions?
That was a good question.
I just wondered in a place that's has a lot of agricultural focus and many people do permaculture and worm bins and how is that or does it fit into the mandatory compost food and green waste? How do you have both or can you have both?
Yeah,
And
absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of the jurisdictions that are required right now. So what's going to happen is your jurisdiction, Blue Lake City Council, eventually will pass an ordinance. And within that ordinance, they'll describe how this material is handled. And if they want to, they can put in either options that you can opt out of service if you have another type. So if you backyard compost, or if you take your material to a compost facility, you can have an opt out like that. Many of the other jurisdictions doing that, City of Eureka, City of Arcata, those are all options that you can prescribe to an alternate service, and you can either get a credit on your bill, or you're just not charged in general, depending on the franchise contract and how those are bundled. Yeah.
Another
Does
good
anyone
question.
else wish to ask a question? All right. Linda Cooley, go ahead.
Hey, I just want to state that businesses in Blue Lake are already doing recycling. And my Yes, can you hear me? Yay. I just wanted to state that businesses in Blue Lake, we are doing recycling currently, commercial. I have a couple of comments and concerns. The green waste, the fact that we're using fossil fuels to haul that off, and I'm assuming paying more, is a bit confusing. But I guess what year are you able to not drive the green waste so far? So that would make sense in my mind. And then also, where would the food compost waste go? And also, I wanted to point out that businesses in Blue Lake with the power and our water bills, I think if our garbage went up, we might have an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you wish to answer?
It's at the will of the council. If you'd like me to answer any of the
If
questions.
there's
I'd be
anything
more
you
than
feel
happy
like
to.
you want to answer, you're welcome to. If not, then
Yeah, I think
take comment.
right now there's nothing in our county that stays in our county.
Okay.
So trash goes out, that goes all the way to Dry Creek landfill in Medford, Oregon. So that's a 400-mile round trip. Our recycling goes to Samoa, but then it goes overseas. It doesn't stay local. 40% of our green waste is composted in county. The other goes either to the Scotia Power Plant for cogen burning, or it goes over to Reading for burning. Our HWMA's intent is to not have material go out of the county as much as possible. Solid waste, we can't do anything about. There will not be another landfill permitted within Humboldt County, much less within California. Environmental regulations will not allow that to happen. Commercial recycling and recycling in general, we don't have enough end use cases to recycle that type of material in county. Green waste, on the other hand, the authority, my staff, myself, my board believe that we do have the ability to compost that material in county and keep it in county. And that's what we're going to be doing, hopefully in 3 to 5 years from now. But for the short term, for everyone to be able to come into compliance with the law, we're going to be sending it just south for composting.
Great, thank you. Julie, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Julie Christie. I have statements more than questions. I would like to thank Eric. I watch the Humboldt County Association of Governors, who our council member Kat sits on. I knew this presentation was coming. He's going to be going off to the rest of the municipalities. And I will say this, congratulations to you guys. I bet our council had some of the most inquisitive, constructive questions. So I applaud you guys as usual with that. So going back to organic waste, there are stipulations that there are rule exemptions, and our jurisdiction can apply to Cal Recycle for an exemption for the organic waste collection requirements. To apply, we need our governing body to do that. And I'm not sure if that's something that's factual or not. However, I do believe that just like our carbon sequencing, and we are pretty organic waste neutral. But again, I think a lot of people have common sense like me. I recycle and reuse everything as possible. You have neighbors, you hear their roosters, go give them some of your scraps after dinner. Great chicken food. I don't think we're an impact that should have these regulations. And there are certain other organizations and stuff that we can actually reach out to talk to about these things. I do have to commend our Humboldt Waste Management Authority. Like, they're under a lot of pressure for the fact that we cannot process a lot of things in California, which is important to Jeanette. My husband is a Bettendorf driver. He does drive what they call hog fuel trips from the mills over 299 every day. And as we're evolving with carbon emissions and the truck regulations, you guys, they are crippling us to get any trucks still on the road in California. This is going to be a dead end street pretty soon. Unfortunately, I think we just need more proactive involvement outside of this room. And I don't know how anybody would love to facilitate that in the city. We could have community gatherings and stuff like that, that we can discuss these bigger topics and then bring our ideas consolidated back to the council. That would be my suggestion with a lot of things on the table tonight. Thank you.
So just as a point of clarification for the county or for the council, you guys are currently under that waiver that she talked about. So SB 1383's compliance was mandatory starting January of 2021. So it originally, HWMA and the city of Blue Lake filed for the rural exemption and the small population waiver for you guys with the state. You were not required to comply until January 1 of 2025. A recent bill that the governor just signed last year extended that till 2027. So you guys are currently in that waiver status right now.
Would we have to re-up, or would we have to wait for an extension from the governor to?
So
to
as
see what
of
happens?
right now, there is no ability to re-up.
Okay.
The 2027, January 1, 2027 is kind of the end date that they've set. Whether they pass another bill or work on more legislation that's going to extend that, we're keeping an eye out. But right now, I don't see anything in the pipeline of legislative bills.
Great, thank you. Last call for public comment before we move on. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to council for, I guess, thank you.
Really appreciate your
Yeah, absolutely.
presentation
Thank you so
and
much.
you visiting us, and would love to have you back.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number
Thank you for
4,
Michelle.
Mhm.
public comment and closed session. Does anyone wish to comment on the closed session item?
I just don't know if I have one more chance to address the people in the room.
Regarding the closed session item, or
I don't know if it's part of your agenda for that or what.
it is, if it doesn't have to do with the closed session, which is the letter from Alex Ricca, then not at this time.
We'll have an
Still need to
option
do
later
that.
on for public comment that's not on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Where did you say them? Oh, okay, number 8.
All right, does the public wish to comment on the closed session item? No one wishes to, yep, yes, go ahead.
Dave Pompey, 311 H Street. And I'm going to preface my comments on the next agenda item that a community this size has come to this toxic situation based on the performance of a single individual is unconscionable. I'm concerned about the subject of the following closed session regarding Mr. Ricca's allegation that the council violated the Brown Act. Mr. Ricca is in the midst of a movement proselytizing a recall of 3 sitting members of the city council. Given that Mr. Ricca threatened the life of the current mayor over his vote on the housing element, I believe he has forfeited both any litigation against the city and his seat on the safety council. Physical threats and violence undermine democratic principle. Democracy depends on peaceful participation and the ability to express different viewpoints without the fear of harm. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you. Any further public comment
Public comment regarding anything?
regarding the Alex Ricca item? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Terry Bayless, and I also am very concerned about this possible litigation and the fact that, when we look at all the actions and we look at the fact that anybody who steps up to this council is a volunteer, basically, in our community, and let any one of us get up in that seat and have to learn the job on the run in front of everybody else. And it seems to me that anybody who might be a commissioner might look at this in a way that we would support one another. So our city clerk and our city attorney both should be that umbrella that protects our city council and all of our actions, because we don't want the cost involved in this. And I just think that those 2 people should have been the umbrella to say, hey, wait a minute. And when I look at this, I don't see a violation of the Brown Act. Everything I've seen that I read, I disagree with it. But I do think that it would be helpful to have people act instead of.
Great, thank you.
You want to comment?
Any further public comment before I take it up to Zoom?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Whoever goes, sorry, you guys fight amongst yourselves. You go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
It is true that this council is a new council. I was new too at one time. One time I was the youngest person on the council, and then I became the oldest. Any citizen that sees some sort of malfeasance on the part of their city council has the ability to make that known. And that is what Alex Ricca has done. And some of us are going to hear what the outcome of it is. But we need to realize that it's a very serious position that you are in. As mayor for 12 years, I never once had any litigation against me or the council at the time I was on. So this is a serious matter, and it deserves a look at from both our counsel and our lawyer.
So there's a lot of other things. Who's next? Yes, go ahead.
My name's Don Bednar. I grew up in Arcata. I lived at 350 Broad Street for about 25 years. I've seen a lot of comings and goings in the council and all that. From what I've read, and I'm not politically astute like a lot of the people in the room, there is no violation of the Brown Act. Come on, you need to really pay attention and read it in depth and see what it actually means, especially in a small town atmosphere like this. The public voted these people in. From what I know of all of them, they're great. And change is good once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. All this animosity because the powers that be are no longer there is just sour grapes, you know? Let's move on. Let these people do what they're going to do, and we can support them and try to make things better for Blue Lake instead of haggling over a bunch of incidental crap that shouldn't be there anyway. That's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Barbara.
Barbara Russell. I think we have a lot of opportunity with this council that we didn't have before because they're open to ideas from the community that nobody even came to meetings back in the day. And I think we should stop bullying them and give them a chance and work together, okay? Because we all love our city. And all this other recall stuff is sucking the oxygen right out of our city. It's really toxic. It's a very bad look, and it's sad. It's heartbreaking, and I would love to see it stop and look at the good in each other and come back together and love each other like we should. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comment? Oh, yes, please.
Please.
It is the job of the city clerk to protect this council. It is the job for her or him to advise the council if they're violating the Brown Act, to stop them in a meeting. I've seen Danny do it since she came on board. I never saw it done before. I never saw the attorney put his hand down and say, "Council, stop." Never. Not until things changed. So what happened to the city clerk? Let's ask that question first. What happened to her? We didn't even have really a city clerk. We had somebody who wore two hats. And when that person was in this room, she never once advised this council on violating the Black Crown.
Any other further comment? Becky, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so I actually want to agree with all previous speakers. They all did very well except for one, and I want to correct Adeline on something. Actually, no, we watched her and Mandy Mager violate the Brown Act many, many times. It'd take a bunch of hands just to count the amount. They're all in the videos from 2020 on. And so, you know, this coming forward for you guys, we have not seen any yet. We have not witnessed it. And for okay. It is. So when this stuff that Alex is bringing up has to do with those violations. And we have not seen any violations by this council. So that's what I want to say. Okay. But I just had to say I agreed with the previous ones except for one. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Can I pause everybody for a second? I would like to briefly remind everybody that public comment should be used to make an actual comment on the agenda item we're here to address and not to be used to pick at each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Julie, Christy, go ahead.
Thank you, Danny. I was just going to say the same thing. I'm not here to go tit for tat. That's not what we're here for tonight. We're on this closed session item that I believe is unwarranted. I hold this council to the same standards as the prior councils, and I hold our staff to the same standards as our prior staff. And I have been holding these standards for many, many years. And yes, I've seen multiple negligence, including the applicant tonight, with his complaints. He has also conducted multiple actions. And with the same people in the room supporting this, they were there in charge at that time and did not reprimand that person. But I will say this, I do believe that the rightful decider of this is our attorney. They were in the room present at all moments during all issues. And I feel that you guys, with your deliberation with him, are going to come to a very easy conclusion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last call for public comment. All right. You can't, no, sorry.
Is the city attorney going to be present?
He's here.
He's here.
On
He's
Zoom.
on the Zoom.
The M.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any further comment on the agenda item? All right, can we get a motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Going into closed session. Thank you very much, everybody.